We were deciding what might be our best first topic. And what we decided was to go with the home inspection.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So welcome to our Tuesday morning mastermind. We are a group of ladies who want to serve our clients better and to bring some clarity into the home buying process and to learn from each other and to share that knowledge with all of you.
And Boni, don't we want to share our experiences too?
Yes, yes. So we were deciding what might be our best first topic. And what we decided was to go with the home inspection. It's very timely right now because in the Washington metropolitan area, we are just now starting to see a shifting market. And that means after a long period of pre-inspections, no inspections, we're just starting to see.
Yes, absolutely. There's so much issues that we can share with the community that they can learn from, especially the most horrible home inspection realizations that we can learn from today, right?
I totally agree.
And not all home inspectors are created equal.
Yes,
No.
as we
So
have
we-
someone who could tell us a little bit more about that.
I know, right? Not all home inspectors are created equal. You can actually have a home inspection that miss certain things. So in Virginia, as we all know, or maybe not know, is a buyer beware state. So you're really at the risk and really dependent upon your home inspection being very thorough. But sometimes that doesn't happen. In my own personal experience, I just recently bought a house a year and a half ago. First day we slept in that home, we had a flood. And
my God.
subsequently, we had 6 following floods within the course of a month and a half.
Did you check the flood map?
We only wish that was the cause of the flood.
Well, good question. So there were a lot of shady things that we learned had occurred in the home prior to our purchase. We actually had bought a flip without realizing it. And so the work that was done in the home was somewhat subpar.
It's a shortcut, they say.
Yes, multiple shortcuts were taken with the home. And therefore, we had quite a few things that ended up being surprises for us. Like a lot of the work that was done wasn't actually permitted work. And so we had to go through the permitting process all over again. Luckily, I was able to reach out to the gentleman who sold our home and was able to get his willing effort to help assist us with some of the problems that his work created. But it was a long and arduous process.
Who paid for it?
For the most part, he did, primarily.
Which one?
But
The seller.
The seller, yes.
And this was after settlement.
This was after settlement.
Very good for you.
However,
Yeah,
fortunate.
that's amazing.
There's some pieces in there, right? Because his wife was the realtor. And so
Oh,
there was
arm's
some,
length.
yeah.
There's a little bit higher
arm's
standard.
length transaction,
Yeah.
Right.
that type of thing.
There are certain things that should have been known. Just more due diligence on her part, and understanding the real estate process. And unfortunately, that did not occur. But we are coming out of it. But there were several opportunities for us to really sort of learn from this experience as homeowners. Yes. So it was a trying time. It's still kind of trying. I'm not going to lie.
What could you have done to prevent it? Could you have done anything?
I would have said what we could have done differently. We did have a home inspection, but there are certain things that home inspections don't catch. Like they don't snake pipes, for example. Some of the sexier things, you see a house and, everybody likes the interior design, but they don't think necessarily about HVAC, the walls, what makes the house go. People often overlook those minute things. So yes, you can have a house inspection, but actually like snaking a drain, getting a camera down there. We had 40 years of sludge in the pipes that just got clogged. And since they had no one to live in the home over a long period of time, it was just major buildup. So since we were the very first people to really like use the facilities, it came back to haunt us in a very real way.
Mm.
So
Okay.
that is my short
So
story.
what advice do you give someone to prevent, have this happen to them, prevent it from happening to them?
Ooh. I would say really understanding what it means in Virginia to buyer beware.
And I
Okay.
think it's important to know what that means truly, because if you can see it, then you don't have to disclose it. If the seller thinks they've fixed it, they don't have to disclose it. If it's public record, like a permit, you don't have to disclose it. So there's a lot of things that people assume will be brought out in the disclosure process in Virginia, when really the disclosure form for Virginia is 1 page long, and it essentially says go do your own due diligence, as opposed to other jurisdictions in the Washington metropolitan area where you have a 5-page disclosure forms and a long list of requirements as to what the seller needs to disclose prior to the sale.
So I had a listing wherein it's really nice, but there's always a smell in the basement that doesn't go away. So they said, oh, you're imagining it. And then I brought 3 other people. We're not imagining it. And it's not going to sell the house with that smell on there. And we're trying to figure out where that smell was. And finally, we figured it out through 3 contractors that came in. Apparently, when you have a split type air conditioning, at the back of that, there's condensation that happens. And then over time, the drip of the air conditioning goes through the walls. And when it goes through the walls, and it gets wet and everything, depends. It seeps through those, drywall that's been there for a long time, and it smells moldy, and you have to replace all of that. And sometimes you don't know these things. So we just have to be particular and ask a good agent, like, these agents out here that will look after you, not just because of the sale, but because, there's something that they can be of value.
And that's what's so good about having other agents. When we learn from each other, we hear these kind of things that happen, and then we can understand, maybe I need to check that. So that's the benefit of each of us being able to share and have our different experiences and years of,
I agree.
being realtors.
Exactly, because like every day there's something
New.
like, and you're right that not all inspectors are created equal. There are some inspectors, but sometimes there are inspectors that overblow some stuff, which is so minor,
I agree.
just to make sure that they can get, they can get paid, justify their pay. You know what I mean? Like, this is just so minor.
So if we have a home inspection, it says all of these glaring, say they come back with glaring results that are not so good on particular items, should we as a listing agent or the buyer's agent get a second opinion? What do you think?
I think so. I think some of them, like I had a home inspection where they said there was a leak in the roof, those attic, and then there's it's a wet, possible water penetration. But the seller was saying that's I would have the roof replaced. That has been done 5 years ago, Christina. That's an old leak. But the inspectors goes, no, it is a leak that, you know what I mean? Like they do that. So I asked the contractor, Ace Restoration, to go there and give me a report for $100. They check the water test, gives a report, and say, hey, this leak is an old leak. You know what I mean? Like, to solve the problem.
Yeah, and I do think that that's really important, that the main inspector's job is to really point out things that could be a problem. Right?
Yes.
And we see that with like chimneys is another one.
That's the big
Pools
one.
is another one. Well and septic. There are all these specialty type of, we were talking earlier about asbestos, lead-based paint, all these kinds of specialty inspections that are going to back up a home inspection. And I also think that, Sharon, you were talking about how many things come out on a home inspection, right? And I think part of that is to distill down what really are the items that would either make you not want to pay the full purchase price and to request either repairs or a credit, or make you walk away from the deal. And that's going to be very personal based on what the buyer's risk profile is and, frankly, what their cash profile is. Because for some investors, they may not care at all, but for others, they may not have $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 to fix a problem, so they need it done before they move in.
Right.
Yeah, and I think one of the things, people coming from other parts of the country where they have newer homes, they're really surprised
shocked.
at houses that are 100 years old or,
Yeah.
75 years old or older. And, asbestos, like you were talking about, lead paint, and they're not even aware of those things. And they do get freaked out when there really is not, it's not a difficult
It's not a
situation,
difficult situation.
to remediate and take care
I think
of.
my only scary part in an inspection, honestly, is like flood, water in the basement.
Yes.
Things that are like structural in nature that you cannot really solve. Because others you can really fix, you know what I mean? But if you're talking about the structure and how it's always been water down there and the mold down there, so I was like, okay.
Yeah, no, I agree. I had a recent one where we had a structural issue that looked like they had tried to fix it, and we ended up closing. But we had to have a structural engineer come out. I think you're having this right now, right, Sharon? We had a structural engineer come out, give an assessment, give us a quote for services, and we ended up having the current seller start the permitting process for the repair, and then they paid for it at closing, and then it was finished after closing. So there's ways that we can mitigate all these issues if we have them, if it's okay with the buyer and the buyer wants to remain under contract. But I agree, there's big items there. It's the structure is the biggest. And then you've got your roofing, your siding, your windows, your HVAC. Those are your high dollar ticket items.
I agree.
And they're not sexy. Kind of what you were talking about, Erica. They're not sexy. Nobody wants to walk in the house.
Sexy.
Yeah. You're like walking in the house. Come and look at my new HVAC system.
Staged.
Always be aware of what's going on behind the curtain.
Exactly. Good point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, those things are. It's important to, of course, to get a good inspector. That I have some clients that they want to have inspectors that's separate from you. They don't want your recommendation. They want like their own, profile. And
That's a
sometimes-
hard one, isn't it?
Yeah, because like I don't want to refer, because if you refer, then if something goes wrong, it's on you. You know what I mean? So if
That's a good
you
point.
you put a list of people and I say, there's no way connected to me. These are just the ones I've used before, but I don't recommend now because there's one thing that happened that I recommend an inspector, and when after like 2 months after closing, though, the whole ceiling went down on them.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, this whole ceiling went down because it's cash and everything was good in Vienna, and then they were so happy, and then they called me and said, Christina, the roof, the whole thing went down. I was like, oh my god! I was like,
I'm
your inspector
sorry, I'm
never.
laughing. That's terrible.
Your inspector never seen. I was like, how am I supposed to do? The house looks great. You know what I mean? I was like, what did you do? Did you maybe they put some
Water,
renovations?
yeah,
No,
right.
renovations, and probably maybe the structure, maybe
See?
the
Structural.
Yeah.
Just ask
Yes.
Bonnie and I.
Yes.
Right now.
So ever since then, I just give the names. I mean, and then I don't like, oh, this is the inspector I use. I don't do that anymore because
That's a good point.
it'll go back
Well,
to you.
Yeah.
Plus,
Got
because
you.
it's been so slow, because buyers have not been doing home inspections. A lot of the tried and true inspectors have retired.
Yeah.
So we have a
They
lot of new
retired.
companies. But what do you think? Should sellers do a home inspection before they put it on the market? I mean, what do you think?
Those are the good sellers.
I was about to say, I don't think every seller is going to necessarily do
Yeah,
that
because of
because
added expense.
they know what they've done. In my case, for example, they knew what was going on, and
They don't want to.
I don't think they would have the integrity to necessarily have done that.
Well, it comes back to the person though. Like if I was a seller, I would want to know what's wrong with my house.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah,
that I
for
could
sure.
fix it.
That's what I did when I
you know
sold
what
my
mean?
house in Florida. I did my mom was the realtor, and she said get a home inspection, and we did, and we fixed the things. Now,
Did you?
yeah, and then the people who ended up buying the house, I offered them to look at the home inspection, but they wanted to have their own inspector, and there were like 2 more things, but that was fine. It was very minor things.
That's awesome.
So do you think in this changing market we should do it?
Well, I think that's what I was going to say. I think it's really, these home inspections and all of the contingencies are about who's taking the risk, right? So when you have a seller's market, the buyers are assuming a lot of risk, which is what we've seen in our area for a long time. They're waiving all the inspections. They're paying over appraised value. There's multiple offers. There's all this stuff going on. When you shift, some of that risk is going to come back to the seller because now the buyers have more options. I do think it's good news for everyone that there's going to be a balance.
I agree.
So, do you do a home inspection as a seller? I mean, depends.
And you have to disclose.
You do. You could come up with some disclosable items.
Disclose,
Right.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Or fix it and be done with it.
I would fix it if I
Yeah,
were a
me
home
too.
seller.
Yeah.
But I was thinking I was going to start advising sellers after this one recent episode.
What happened?
House. Almost everything needs major ticket items need repair or replacement. The homeowners are shocked. They've been in the house 38 years. Septic failed, but I'm talking about the tank failed.
Wow. That's really unusual.
That's
Wow.
major.
Okay. Roof. Structure.
Oh my.
Radon.
Oh
Do
my
I-
goodness.
Do I keep going?
No.
I think
It's
I'll
okay.
stop.
We get the
We
picture.
got
Every single one. Yeah.
Wow.
It was
Wow.
just one of those things. The house is beautiful.
But knowing Sharon, she can find a way to solve that.
Yeah. They'll still have to fix it. But I wonder how
Thanks
much
to
the
my
benefit-
group, my mastermind group, yes, because I've asked for so many referrals for contractors. Yes. We've worked through it. We are working through it.
That's great.
Wow.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's so important that we all collaborate together.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I'm learning so much, and I have to
too, every
depend
week.
upon people that are like-minded and have gone through these circumstances that some I haven't.
I have a vendor wherein there was a wall that's falling down in one of the townhouses, but it was such a good deal in Vienna. They gave it to me for less than like 650, something really good. But the wall was going down. Like, it's a townhouse, but it's good. But the one of the walls was going down, the structure. But then the guy had the structural engineer company warranty it for a lifetime warranty. But which is good. He paid for it. Everything is like it cost 23,000. But let's say this is the wall, right? The left wall was fixed, right? But the right wall was covered with a wood paneling board, so we cannot see it. So when the client removed it, all of this is like falling down.
Oh, wow.
So that was after closing.
Oh my gosh.
So I lobbied through the structural company and said, you fix this left one. Don't you think this is like connected to the whole wall? Do you think that's the whole wall?
It
They
is,
fix Why
right?
didn't you
For
fix
sure.
it? So there was like a fight because they almost got to litigation because my client wanted the structural company to fix it, and the seller only paid for what was required by the what the structural company found, not additional. But we were saying that that's the wall that's connected. You should take care of that. I don't know really what happened because they said, Christina, don't worry about it. You already gave the contract. I will take care of this problem. That's what my client said. I said I let it go. But
God,
it's,
that's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, how
'Cause
are
it's
you
one
solving?
wall.
Yeah, how are you
it's
solving the
one
problem?
wall. Yeah,
So
which is
interesting.
why it's like I'll give you if you want to know more about it because it's such an interesting case because they don't want to fix it but the structural engineer went back and said we're gonna recalculate. We didn't see this. This is the additional cost. It's like any 10,000. They had to get another permit from the county because they had to close that permit because now it's from the new owner. You know how that is.
Yeah.
So it was like a whole lot, and who's gonna take the bill? Seller doesn't want to pay for it. He's done.
Yeah.
But then
I don't blame him.
But
got his money,
failure to
right?
disclose. My client is saying, but his failure to disclose. He must have known because there's a patch on the wall there.
Exactly. The
So
panel.
they would have known that. Like if they're fixing it, then they would have advised them to fix the other wall just because there's a wood paneling there, and you can see there's like a patch. So the seller was saying, the buyer was saying, seller knows about this, Christina. This is a non-disclosure on their part. So that's the question we have about
Was it Virginia?
non-disclosure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, of
The
course.
Right,
buyer
and that-
beware.
Right. So the one thing we have to do is material defects that you're aware of. That's the
Yes.
standard in Virginia.
Yeah, but-
And so that would be a material
Yeah.
defect that you couldn't see because it's been hidden behind the paneling But clearly the seller knew about it because they had attempted to fix it in the past.
Correct. That's my point. So, what do you guys think? Should seller be liable for it, or or let the buyer get?
It's after closing.
That's the thing. That's what the listing agent would have said. Listing agents, Christina, we're after closing. I don't want to be part of this. But it is post closing, right? I was like, but that's really part. That's how we do before, right? We were concerned. But right now, I guess with one of the deals with when after closing, then you're already, you know what I mean? Even rent back, you're not involved on that process anymore. It's
That actually is it's interesting because that's where walkthrough also comes in, right?
Yes.
Just changing the subject a little bit to the walkthrough.
Oh God, yeah.
How many of you have had a walkthrough where you go in and there's like it's been an ice storm overnight and suddenly there's water in one of the rooms, or it's been vacant for a while. So
how
don't skip that walkthrough.
The refrigerator changed.
Oh God, that's a great one, isn't it?
I had one,
or washer and dryer.
Yes. I had one where the refrigerator, when I went in to do the walkthrough, I was doing it by myself for an out-of-state buyer, and the refrigerator was unplugged. So I'm like, oh, it's unplugged. So I plug it in to see if it's going to get cold, and I start to go into another room, and all of a sudden I hear this, and it's like jumping up and down. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's happening here? And I'm like, and I don't know what it was. I had to unplug it, videotaped it first, sent it over. I'm like, oh,
I
don't
know,
think so.
right? That's why in the contract, don't we have to say the condition of the house at a particular time, whether it's home inspection, time of contract, or other?
Yes.
Wow.
But that doesn't fully solve it, because what happens when the biggest thing that I always encounter is when they have area carpets and it's a sunny room.
Yes.
And then the
light.
Yes, absolutely. The hardwood
What
floors.
do you do?
You have limited design choices for the floor.
You have to have the same size rug.
Just a credit, same size rug. But like, who does that? Like, because have you ever had issues like before? I had like the curtains that conveys, and then the seller loved it, takes them, and said, no, this is the curtains of my grandmother. So why is it there? Why did you convey it? Oh, I overlooked it, but I thought it was an issue. You know what I mean? And then the buyer wouldn't close if the curtains are not back.
I know, it's true. Been there.
Been there, right?
Yep.
Oh wow.
And that kind of gets into
Doesn't it?
a different issue, which is your clients have to do the contract, not you, right? The clients have to, because if they're checking, don't be pre-checking the conveyances. This is for the agents out there, not for the clients,
agents,
right?
yeah.
And clients, though, read your contracts, understand what you're signing, because that's a situation where there's a check mark, whether you're conveying those curtains or not. So if it's checked in the contract and you agree to it,
Yeah, you signed the dotted line.
So it's probably a good idea for us to go over the contract. Let's just talk specifically to home inspection, like to walk through what's conveying, what's the condition, and all of those little paragraphs that pertain to it, like just taking an extra 5 minutes to do that.
Yeah. It's
Right?
right. Because like, people don't think, oh, agents can get overpaid. You know, sometimes you hear that all the time. But there's so many things that we have to do that people don't see. You know, like things like that, like little things. You know, and it's always your fault.
We're the last person.
Right? I know.
How do we wind this up? What are some of the things that we kind of want to give some advice as far as?
well, I think the most important thing, we can each go around and say what they think is most important. I think for me, it's always prepping my buyers and my sellers what to expect during that home inspection process, and then going back with what's most important and making sure we're all very clear on how much risk we're willing to take and what we want done in the end. You know, do we want to have a credit for certain items? Do we want to walk away from the deal? And on the seller side, are we going to have to disclose this item to the next buyer if they're not willing to do it? Do they want to fix it, or is there a dollar amount attached to it to keep it under contract? So to me, that's the most important kind of a conversation that we're going to have.
I agree.
I would say don't get so caught up in the interior aesthetics. Pay a very close attention to the things that aren't necessarily the funnest things to look at, like your HVAC, if you're on a well, how do you filter out the water? All those things that you never really think about, pay very close attention to. Septic, sewer, know your stuff. Know really as a buyer what you're getting into.
I agree.
And what things should look like. And it might require maybe more than one inspection.
I agree. Well said.
I think so too.
Yeah. So I think for me, the most important thing in looking at a house is that, of course, aside from location and like the way you like the house, is looking at the major systems and checking all those major systems first, and going down there in the basement and smell.
Totally. It's got to pass the sniff test 100%.
And so pretty much, because even if you have all those inspector, you can already, I mean, you cannot say, but because we're in the business, but and get an inspector will just validate what you have, if you really like the house, and just get the expert opinion, not an opinion of somebody who's not in the business and discourage you, like mom and dad discouraging you by
The eliminators.
House, you know what I mean? Exactly. Not that though, because we're trying very hard to sell these properties.
Absolutely.
But more on if there's a good remedy, and if you're willing to take that risk. Like you said.
And I think for me, like for first-time home buyers who have no idea what they're getting into a lot of times, try to coach them, like what does need to be fixed, what are things that could be fixed later, really talk to them, because a lot of times they get that, red, yellow, green, very important, not so much, it's okay. They get that report and they're kind of freaked out.
Yes.
It's under a microscope.
And so, and then also to, if they want to walk away, explain, this is not the only house. So I think it's really important to have a balance, explain to your clients what's going on, what can be fixed, you can give them, obviously there's things that need to be done, but I definitely think that just to have a balanced approach with it.
I like that. I mean, what you've all said is communicate and, and also test. And I think I agree all 100% with that, but maybe we slow things down a little bit because we're always so anxious to get the deal done and to get these contingencies. Maybe second opinions isn't a bad idea.
It's not.
Or during home inspection, I mean, bring as many, inspectors as you can. I know that it costs money, but in the end, just like Erica, I mean, she ran into a major issue, that maybe could have been prevented. Yeah. So I'd say communicate and test at this point.
And good contractors
yes,
that are
absolutely.
really good.
Yes.
I have this house. This is last. I have this house that had an issue with renovation. They got some contractors that are not as okay, lights and everything. They put some recessed lights. I was like, wow, I'm saying, Christina, we have all these recessed lights and everything. So they went, they left already, personal situation, divorce. So I have the house. And then suddenly the lights went all off, electric. So I was like, what is the problem? So I'm asking my colleague, let's get a electrician over there. Because it's like everything is gone. So I asked electrician quotes like $5,000 we have to do.
Oh my God.
Another $7,000, $8,000. They couldn't figure out what's wrong with the house. Oh. So I was like pulling my hair. It's like, what am I gonna do? Because obviously the home inspection failed. We lost the contract because the electric system was like so messed up in the attic, whatever. So I got this guy who's from Maryland, who's licensed in the tri-state. That he's like the go-to electrician or something.
He's a guru.
He's a guru. So he spent 2 days on the house looking at the problem.
Oh my
found
God.
it. Apparently, there was like some light switches in the attic that was incorrectly made, and it's about to spark and will really burn the house down.
Oh my
gosh.
If we didn't find it.
Oh, wow.
And so up to this day, I've said, this client should thank me because I really,
absolutely,
try to find a solution for this house.
Wow.
We eventually sold it, but it sold. But the agony of going to that house as an experience,
That's terrible. But look at all the fires always that we see in the
Yes.
newspaper, and it's
You know
mostly
why?
electrical.
It's mostly because all those electricians that are employed by these electric companies, they're using those licenses, but not really master electricians.
That's true.
Very
Very true.
So you have to have, you can have my contact, of course, I'll be willing to share if there's but like companies that really go there and and really delve into the situation. That's why if we have good contractors that are masters in their field, we have to use them, because they get paid a lot because they're like working for this company and they're like lousy. I was like, no,
it's terrible.
It's terrible. Yeah.
That's true of a lot of the trades, where the first person who comes out is not the master, right? That happens with plumbers, it happens with electricians, it happens with HVAC people, so you see these people and they come out, and it's not that they're terrible at their job, it's that they're not masters, and they think they've solved the problem, and they're using the license of the business owner or whomever is in it, and then you have a problem. And we see that a lot with the flips, right?
Yes.
Because what happened is the flipper will find the guy and try and pay him off cycle not to use the master electrician's license, but we'll just try and get this guy to do the work, and all of a sudden you don't have that back. So that's one of the things that we really need to check, and it's the permitting where it becomes an important thing to check the permitting.
Yeah, and checking their license also on DPOR.
Right. Well, and again, sometimes the work is good. A lot of times,
I did too. After we had that at Fairfax County.
Yeah.
People talked to us.
Yeah, permits are available on Fairfax County website as well as all the other jurisdictions in our area, so you can check.
Yes, and if you can't find them, be moderately concerned.
I guess this wraps up our session on home inspection. So
and other things.
I guess until next time, we'll see you later.
Happy Tuesday.